Well, you're gonna find out real quick. I'm a Jesus guy. Our community is a Jesus community. Believe that Jesus saved the world and saved my life. That does not mean that's what you have to believe to belong here at Churchome. But every time we get together, we go to this book, the Bible, believe that it is God's story of love for humanity, his story of love for you. And so we just revisit that story. We remember that story again. We recall that story again. So we're going to do that. Our climactic conclusion has already been established. Our church has existed for 26 years. Every time we get together, the climactic conclusion is that Jesus is amazing and he can transform our lives, and we need him every day. So that's already where we're headed. So I'm going to talk for a few minutes. The band will come back and join us, and we'll sing some songs that we believe are true about our God. And then we will go about hopefully some fun plans you have with friends. Cool? Are you ready? Can you tell I've been in the sun a little more? I've been swimming in the ocean. I'm literally not an ocean guy. I have become an ocean guy because I'm not going to get old. I'm going to stay young. And so I swam in the ocean today. It's not a big deal. All right, John, chapter 21. We've been doing some, thank you so much. Each of you, thank you. I don't think we've ever met. You're new to the band. You usually sing. Okay. Thank you for joining the band. It's amazing. Oh, really? Okay. Is that how this is going to work? Oh, Judah doesn't know anyone. All right. Go to another church. All right. John 21. I'm kidding. Love you guys, all of you that sing and play. All right. We've been doing a collection of talks about pain and cycles that we go through when we're in pain, and kind of dissecting a little bit and leaning into that. And so if you are currently in pain of any kind, or have experienced pain, or have a friend that's going through pain, I'm hoping that these verses and scriptures and stories speak to that and are encouraging you, because I truly believe that we serve a God who wants to help us in our pain. Somebody say, amen, amen, amen. Okay, John chapter 21 and verse 20. Actually, we'll start reading in verse 15. And we'll read about 10 verses here, and then we'll get started. So this is, we're calling them cycles of pain. This is the fifth message now I've done on cycles of pain. It says this: when they had finished breakfast, Jesus says to Simon Peter, "Simon, son of John, do you love me more than these?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." He said to him, "Feed my lambs." He said to him a second time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" He said to him, "Yes, Lord, you know that I love you." He said to him, "Tend my sheep." He said to him the third time, "Simon, son of John, do you love me?" Peter was grieved because he said to him the third time, "Do you love me?" And he said to him, "Lord, you know everything. You know that I love you." Jesus said to him, "Feed my sheep." Going on in verse 18, "Truly, truly, I say to you, when you were young, you used to dress yourself and walk wherever you wanted. But when you are old, you will stretch out your hands, and another will dress you and carry you where you do not want to go." Obviously a little mysterious, and the parenthesis says, this he said to show him by what kind of death Peter was going to die to glorify God. In other words, Peter is going to die for the name of Jesus. And after saying this, he said to him, "Follow me." Peter turned and saw the disciple whom Jesus loved following him, that is John, the one who also had leaned back against him during the supper and said, "Lord, who is it that's going to betray you?" And when Peter saw him, John, he said, "Well, what about him? If I'm going to die, what's going to happen to him?" Now listen, because this is a very curt response for Jesus, a very direct response for Jesus, and a very, how should I say, kind of dramatic response. Even has an exclamation point. Jesus was very direct. He says, "If it is my will that he remains until I come," listen to this, words of Jesus, "what is that to you?" Wow, what is that to you? Well, John's my friend, you know. What is that to you? You follow me. So the saying spread abroad among the brothers that his disciples that disciple was not going to die. In other words, the Jesus followers started to believe that John, one of the 12, was never going to die. Yet Jesus did not say to him that he was not going to die, but he said, if it is my will that he remain until I come, what is that to you? Now, anytime you see a verse repeated, especially so close together, that's for emphasis. This is not an accident. John, for some reason, wants us to see this twice over. And he re-quotes directly Jesus, who was just quoted a few verses ago, and says again, if it is, Jesus says to Peter, if it's my will that he remain until I come, what is that to you? Going on, this is the disciple. I love John. John is all heart. I love how he talks about himself. John is writing this, John the disciple who's in the story, and he's writing this and he goes, this is the disciple who is bearing witness about these things. He's so dramatic, and who has written these things, and we know that his testimony is true. That's John talking about himself in third person. It's awesome. And his testimony is true. Now, I love this verse. This is one of my favorite verses. We'll end here tonight. Now, there are also many other things that Jesus did. Were every one of them to be written, I suppose that the world itself could not contain the books that would be written. Wow, wow, wow. This is yeah, you can clap. This is great if you want. I mean, it's clappable. It's the Bible. So yeah, this is part 5 in Cycles of Pain. This is the entire story. We're going to look at this story tonight. We're going to unpack it, try to understand it, and I think we're going to find a lot of our own nuances, our own tendencies. The human condition is pretty consistent, and so we're going to look at this and try to discover more about what happens oftentimes when we're in pain and things that we do. Again, these cycles we get into when we are in pain. Will you join me in prayer? God, thank you for the moments we share. Thank you for your love, your grace, your goodness. God, I pray right now for everyone in this room. I pray for everyone watching on the app, wherever they may be. And I pray for everyone in Seattle. God, I thank you for Kirkland. I thank you for UD. I thank you for Bothell. I thank you for downtown, all the different locations watching. I pray you would meet us in a real and authentic way. We need that. Thank you for what you're doing for the Seahawks, your football team. Lord, bless, protect, watch over, keep, in Jesus' name. And everybody said, amen. Everybody said, amen. I went to a shark movie today, and I'm truly regretting this. This is not on my notes. This has nothing to do with my sermon, except that I want to talk about it. 47 meters, I don't know if they didn't ask me to promote their movie, just to be clear, but my son and I, we went on a dad date, and he's like, let's do 47 meters uncaged. And I was pumped. I love every shark movie. I love shark movies. Cheesier the better, I'm so down. But it's been a while since I watched a shark movie, and I think before I was 40, and there it is. I have to bring up my age every time. I'm 40, and I'm serious, I jumped so many times, I'm shaky right now. And the movie got over like 3.5 hours ago. I screamed a couple times. Oh, okay, I'm a bad guy. So I'm a little drained of emotion. I don't have a lot to offer tonight. I'm kidding, it'll be fine. God's my strength. Oh, man. Yeah, I don't recommend going to a scary shark movie. And this isn't a spoiler, but like just when you think shark movies are over, that's the thing about shark movies. That's the catch always. Just when you think you're in the clear and there's no more sharks, just be reminded there's always one more scene. And I forgot that, man. I'm 40, you get it. Anyways, so there's this little verse in the Bible. We didn't read it tonight, but it's easily missed. And what I find interesting about little verses in the Bible is oftentimes they have dramatic impact, but they're easily missed. For instance, there's this little verse in Romans, and it says, I want you to weep with those who weep and rejoice with those who rejoice. It sounds so simple, sounds so straightforward. It's like, hey, for those of you that follow Jesus, when you find someone who's having a rough go, be there with them, encourage them, cry with them, be in their pain. And then when you run into someone who's having a great time, enjoy the party with them, like have a great time. And you read that and you're like, oh my gosh, yes, that's amazing. I totally am going to do that, right? And if you've been in church for any length of time, you've heard preachers like me be like, hey church, let's remember rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep. And the application in church life is usually, well, when someone's lost a loved one, let's be there for them. And when we're having a church picnic, let's have a good time. That's kind of the church application of Romans 12:15. But I want to read it again. Rejoice with those who rejoice and weep with those who weep. I wonder if for a moment you feel what I feel when I read that verse. When you think about it for a second, it seems like such a harmless verse. Seems like, quite frankly, one of the easier verses in Scripture, right? Written by Paul the Apostle. He's like, hey, church, living in Rome, this beautiful, big, massive metropolitan city. Hey, remember when people are weeping, be there for them. When someone's having a great party with them, no big deal. But wait, hold on a second. Wait a second. What if I'm in pain? Am I the only one that reads that verse and goes, well, rejoice with those who rejoice? Or are you the person that reads that verse and goes, yeah, I wish I had friends who would do that for me? Right? I've been there. You're like, the Bible says weep with those who weep. And you're in here making jokes, and I'm going through pain. You know what this verse means? You know what the implications of this little verse packed in this book called The Letter to Roman Believers, Roman Jesus followers? It literally means when you are in pain, put your pain away and enjoy the party with your friend who is celebrating their recent promotion. No, I'm not going to be disingenuous. Now you start talking about our culture and what our culture, and this is a contrary verse to our culture. Our culture is like, I'm keeping it real. Right? And sometimes not keeping a lot of friends, but I'm keeping it real. So I'm going to show up at your party, but I'm not happy. How could I be happy? I'm going through pain. I got laid off. This is why verses like this are so significant and important, because as Jesus followers, or anyone considering or maybe curious about Jesus followers, we are to be socially so different. We are to be the people group on the planet that even when we are in pain, instead of hoping, hinting, manipulating, dropping hints so that you will feel my pain, I have the selflessness to go ahead and put my pain away and be able to celebrate someone's success even when I'm going through a difficult season in my life. Now, we have come up upon one of the greatest qualities, and we've talked about this quite a bit, one of the greatest qualities you can ever have in a friend is Romans 12:15. It is astounding. And recently at, I want to say, lunch or dinner with Elijah and Anne-Marie, I told Elijah and Anne-Marie, and hopefully it's not the only time I've told them, that this is one of their greatest qualities. It is outstanding to me, the pastors of this location at Churchome, Elijah and Anne-Marie Waters, they could be going through the most difficult season of their life. But if you caught a break and you've had a moment of success, or you're exhilarated or celebrating or throwing a party, they will be there, and you will think that your success is their success and their success is your success. They literally live this on a daily basis. It is incredible. So I'm not a fool. They're my best friends. Best friends. The ability, think about it, the ability to go, you walk up to your friends and you got the best news in the whole world. Your hopes and dreams have come to pass. And you look at the countenance of your friend and you can tell your friend is devastated. You can tell something's gone wrong. You can tell they just broke up with him. They just broke up with her. And you have an ability to say, we'll talk about what happened for me later. How are you? Are you okay? Come on, sit down. You're going to be all right. I love you so much. That sucks. Where is he? Let's go find him. No, then, it gets weird, and you guys go searching the town for him. And that's not good. But that's the kind of friend I'm talking about. We'll fight for you. It's like, it's really counterproductive. But it's just amazing. You run into people like Elijah and Anne-Marie very rarely in this life. But you come across these people, and it's supposed to be this way of relating to each other was supposed to be synonymous with Jesus followers. We were supposed to be the people group that when we are in pain, instead of hoping that everyone else is too, oh, I'm the only one that does that? When I'm in pain, I'm like, hope they've been through some pain. In fact, I'll only talk to people who know real pain. You ever done that one? I really can't relate with them, with her, with him, because they've never really been through anything, and I've been through stuff. So I only respect people who have been through stuff. Must be nice, right? Growing up with money, I can't relate. I'm self-made. You know, that's called the human condition, and that's actually an indication of pain. That's pain. That's pain. That's pain. Because here's one of the cycles. We've been talking about this, trying to just unpack it further. When we're in pain, we want everyone else to at least see it, recognize it, or even better, have pain of their own. Right? That's the human condition. On the flip side, it's just natural. When you have this massive breakthrough success, all your dreams you want everyone to be like, yeah, you're amazing, right? This is the human condition. Now, I want to talk specifically about pain. And already you can see one of the points that we're making tonight is kind of unthinkable. The point we're making tonight is for every person in this room who's going through pain. This scripture suggests that you at times in your social circles should actually put that away. You can't eliminate it, you can't control, I'm not saying, but that you would actually put yourself aside and put your friends as your focal point and celebrate with people during your pain. Wow. So that's super upside to this sermon, super positive. Look at Peter. Poor Peter. If you're familiar with the Bible story, Peter gets a really bad rap. Here's what I think Peter's biggest problem is, other than just talking too much, which I can relate with that. Eventually you're gonna say something dumb if you just keep talking, you know what I mean? Just running your mouth, like, oh, all right, finally, that's something dumb. Peter kind of does that, but Peter doesn't like pain. You look at his track record, you read his story, you watch Peter. Peter's one of those guys who at all cost, he will avoid pain. Now that I can relate with. My dad used to have a joke growing up, you've heard me say it before, no pain, no pain. That was my dad saying. Like, no pain, no pain. Awesome life, right? Like, and that kind of sums up a lot of our culture, right? No pain, no pain. Like, let's just not have pain. Let's just avoid pain. And we'll actually make our pain way worse because we want to avoid the pain we currently have. Peter doesn't like pain. Can you blame him? Can you blame him? He doesn't like pain. So, Peter is the guy who denies Jesus 3 times, a couple times at a bonfire in front of a junior high girl. She's like, hey, and he's like, no, and then he starts cussing, and Peter's kind of an emotional train wreck, and so Peter, by the time we read John 21, coming to the close of John the disciples' a recording of the gospel, Peter is in bad shape. He's in bad shape. Jesus makes breakfast for Peter and a few of the guys, and Peter has gone back to fishing. But Jesus comes and makes a fire and fish, and the scholars call it, he's restoring Peter. He's restoring. He said, do you love me? Do you love me? But John 21, what oftentimes we fail to realize, for those that are familiar with the story, you think that at the end of verse 19, that Peter is just back to his old self. But I would like to present to you that verse 20 reveals that Peter is still in a lot of pain. In a lot of pain. Jesus says, Peter, you're going to die for me. He said, what? You're going to die for me. Peter goes, well, is he going to die too? That's what's happening. He's embarrassed. He's humiliated. He's in pain. Now Jesus says, you're gonna pay the ultimate, you're gonna give your life for me. And Peter does what we do in pain. Immediately he looks for somebody else because he wants them to have it just as bad. Well, is it hard for you too? Will it be difficult for John too? I mean, that's a very natural question, isn't it? I mean, you grow up in school, for instance. Let's just talk school. School's on the mind, okay? Had a long discussion with a friend today about schools and school. Remember in school? I mean, it's not fair was being shared with teachers, from students to teachers all the time. Wait, I have to stay after? I wasn't the only one talking, Mrs. Doubtfire. I wasn't the only one talking. Like, I don't know why that, but I have to stay after school. I got to go to detention. What are we talking about? What about her? What about him? Why are you picking me out, right? And suddenly, misery loves company, and your friends now are looking at you like, hey, don't get us in detention. You're like, no, you were talking. And now your best friend, you're trying to get in detention with you. Because we are so loving and considerate and kind, us human beings. Mrs. Doubtfire gives you detention, and you're wishing the whole class has to go with you now. Right? It's just our cycles. When in pain, we don't like our circumstance. Well, God, what about him? What about her? It is amazing to me when I am in pain, how easily I get distracted, and more than distracted, I get very caught up with looking around the community. It's amazing when I'm in pain. What about, well, God, you should. Now, what I wish Jesus would have said was, Peter, look at me. Peter, right here, look at me. You're in pain right now, and that's your pain talking, okay? We'll sit down with John, and I'll explain you his journey as well, okay? Peter, get over here. No, don't walk away from me, Peter. Get over here, give me a hug, okay? Instead, we get a response from Jesus that is, the nice word would be curt. Let's read it again. He says, well, if I want him to live forever, what is that to you? Like, Jesus, could you say it a little softer? You just told Pete he's gonna die for you. You could have landed that a little bit softer, and he's like, excuse me. So Jesus is trying to make a point, and he oftentimes goes to extremes. He says, you're gonna die, and then he says, what about him? And Jesus goes, what if I let him never die? Peter's like, what? And here's what happens. When we're in pain, we look at people and we compare and we think about what's fair. And when we do, please hear this, it always backfires. Just like it backfired for Peter, it always backfires. He's like, well, what about, and you always choose the wrong guy. Well, what about, Jesus says, he might live forever. And you're like, oh, what? It's not fair. So you were looking around to compare and to measure what's fair, when what you're supposed to do is look with compassion and, it's gonna rhyme, bear with me, care. But this is what happens. When we're in pain, we start comparing, thinking about what's fair. And Peter has physical, visible, resurrected Jesus, fixing him a meal and building him a fire, and he still is comparing and thinking about what's fair. So can we all just give ourselves a little bit more credit? Yeah. I love Jesus, but he has never physically fixed me breakfast. I love Jesus. I have never I just combined physically and visibly, which is actually very convenient, but a time saver. I have never had Jesus physically or visibly appear to me. And Peter is looking at the resurrected Savior of the world who has just defeated death, hell, and the grave. And he says, oh, wow, that hurts. John, what's going to happen to him? Make it bad. And what does Peter want? Come on, now let's be honest. What does Peter want? Peter wants Jesus to go, oh. Let's sit down for this one. You're going to die. It's going to be pretty gruesome. John, it's going to be horrific. John's like, really? And Peter's like, I'm so sorry, man. Yes. How bad are we? It's true. We just are like, well, I'm in pain. John's gonna hurt really bad too, right, Jesus? He's gonna hurt really, really bad. Tell me how bad. I'll feel really bad for him, but it's bad, isn't it? Oh my gosh, yeah. Are they gonna lose their job too? Oh, that's terrible. Oh, it's amazing. Oh, they're going through a breakup too, so did I. Yeah, oh, I wish you wouldn't have had gone through that, but I sure love having someone who understands. So there's always that. So yeah, you don't have a lot of money right now. Oh, it's terrible to hear, neither do I. We should be best friends. But if you get money, let's not be friends anymore, okay? Because that'll make me feel bad. So what are we, humans? In a lot of pain. And we just keep looking around, and Jesus is kind of making a point, isn't he? He's kind of like completely, how should I say, destroying this social approach. He's saying, no. Listen to him. He says, what is that to you? Well, first of all, I'll be like, Jesus, what do you mean, what is John to me? Right? This would be my answer. What do you mean? I love John. That's my guy. That's my buddy. That's my bro. But Jesus is like, that's not why you're asking. You're not asking out of compassion and care. Jesus obviously desires, much is taught, including Romans 12:15. We're to care for each other. We're to actually be conscious of each other. But that's not what Peter's doing. Jesus is saying, and what is that concern of you? And he says this. He says, you follow me. There was a group there. He could have said, Peter, everybody here, y'all need to follow me. He says, Peter, you follow me. One of the more challenging verses in all of the Bible where Jesus clearly says, we all need to stop looking around in comparison and thinking in fairness, and we need to keep our eyes on Jesus. On Jesus. On Jesus. Something interesting happens in this verse. Did you notice it says, and so a rumor started to spread that John was never going to die, which I find very interesting because when we look at each other the wrong way or from the wrong place, please hear me, we oftentimes misunderstand what God is saying. This is what happens. We start looking at each other in terms of our cultural ideals, right? Our cultural ideals are what? Success. And success is only apparent when there is money, stuff, things, beauty, sex appeal, all right. This is not necessarily God's dream. This is the American dream. These are our cultural ideals. This is why we work so hard. This is why we do what we do. This is why we're on the grind. And so naturally living where we live, we have to own the fact that our orientation socially is almost always we look at each other and we love each other and we care and we're trying as a community, but we look to compare and we look to think in regards to what is fair. And oftentimes we compare to feel better about ourselves, or oftentimes we compare and we don't feel better about ourselves, but this is actually a very normal, habitual social act. We don't talk about it very much because that's uncomfortable. But this is what we do. This is what we do. And Jesus, repeated twice, is saying, don't do that. Don't do that. We'll try, just don't do that. In fact, I think the disciples who love Jesus and walk with Jesus, they hear what Jesus says. What they're hearing is what they want to hear. They're not hearing what Jesus actually said. And that's what happens when we are socially engaging with each other in regards to the ideals of this country. We oftentimes miss what Jesus means. Are you hearing what I'm saying? Anybody? If you're not, at least I wore a double-breasted suit, okay? Jacket. So what needs to happen, what I'm saying is the combination of how insulated we are in our culture. And I'm not saying I'm against it. I'm just saying it is what it is. Okay, we don't have time to go there. We're so insulated in the ways of our culture. I think oftentimes the words of Jesus don't land the way they truly are. And so we run around telling everybody John's gonna live forever. And it's like Jesus never said John was gonna live forever. But what's cool about John living forever is that's one of the cultural ideals, right? It's like never die, young forever. Did you hear about John? Because we wanna hear what we wanna hear. And we have a value system, right? And so if we're not careful, we're like, the Bible says God wants to bless us. So that means we are all gonna have money, right? Because that's how you take blessing of God into United States of America culture, Western culture. And I'm not saying there aren't scriptures that talks about how God wants to take care of you financially. But we hear what we want to hear because we have desires and ideals, and we see them even how we look at each other, It's how we look at each other. So Jesus would like us to no longer look at each other the way Peter is looking at John. Now, if that's not challenging to you, I don't know what is. Jesus emphatically cuts Peter off and says, and what is, excuse me, you're asking about John? Oh, you want John to feel the hurt. You want John to have a tough go. You want John to, what if I let him live forever, Pete? What? You, Peter, follow me. Follow me. Follow me. The word follow in the original language, it means go the same direction. Go the same direction. Go the same direction. So following Jesus means taking the trajectory and the direction that Jesus takes. Now this becomes radical because we are intended to study the pathway and the footsteps of Jesus when he was on the earth. And then the Bible says now the Spirit of Jesus now will live within us. And he, though we are not in these ancient cities, we're in the cities we're now in, that the Spirit will say, I'm gonna show you how Jesus would have walked in Los Angeles. And I want you to go in that direction, okay? Jesus did not die, rise again, and seated on high so that we could attend a once-a-week gig. Okay, the big idea. And that's why we're about to do churches in people's homes, churches in cafes, churches. We're going to citadels believing, cool, great. Got my, no. We're actually endeavoring to walk in the footsteps of Jesus, and that is socially disruptive. Because we are literally supposed to begin to absorb the values of Jesus, the ideals of success according to Jesus, which is actually supposed to lead us to when I'm in pain, I don't look at John and go, well, what about him? When I get detention hall, I don't tell the teacher my friend should be with me. But that's only normal. That's only normal. That's only normal. And Jesus says, I don't want it to be. I want you to be different. And later, Paul will write, when people are in pain, you be in pain with them. Talking actually, this is to church members. And then when people are celebrating, I want you to celebrate with them. So I want you to put your pain away, or I want you to put your big celebration away. And I want you to serve people that way. That's the kind of friend I want you to be. And it's like, well, that's hard. Yeah, it is. Why would we be asked to do this? I'll tell you why. Because Jesus is our example. And what did Jesus do? He came, put on skin and bone, moved into our painful planet, sabotaged by our selfishness and our sinful nature. He moved in and he took our pain upon himself. And so the ways of Jesus is to be the kind of person who can Say, I'm going to put my pain away, or I'm going to put my party away, and I'm going to be here with you, and I'm going to serve you. Okay. And I promise I'm coming to a close. Here's what's challenging. I hear that, and my humanness, my natural thinking is, I need to see people more. I need to be more aware, right? I need to be more aware. I just need to be focused more on people. And I've tried that, and that does not work. And that's not a popular thing to say. I just need to be, I'm gonna write down 12 people that I'm gonna just be thinking about and calling and texting, and that's a fantastic exercise. I'm telling you, it is not what is going to transform you on the inside. And the problem is not your scheduling or your to-do list. The problem is your nature. The problem is we are all experiencing levels of pain that perpetually lead us to say, well, what about him? What about him? And then if we can, by chance, demonize somebody, that will help us in our pain. So we can all sit here tonight and think that Romans 12:15 is something we just need to exercise like a muscle. It'll get stronger, we'll get better, and we'll be the most selfless people in the world. But I'm telling you, that is not sustainable. It's not the answer. It is mere willpower, and there's a few anomalies amongst us who are incredibly gifted in willpower. The rest of us are pretty average. We're like, I'm not gonna have chocolate. I'm done eating chocolate. You cannot tempt me. One bite, let's get a whole pint of it. That's normal. That's normal. Jesus says, I want you to relate to people different. Well, I'm in pain. I'm hurting. I know. I want you to celebrate with your friends. I don't want to. So how does this happen? Okay, here's the dynamic that happens. The more we focus on each other, I'm gonna be really honest, the more my heart closes and my arms close. Because my nature is to look at people and not go, oh, bless their hearts. They're so wonderful. Look at that. I'm so happy that they got so much money. I'm so happy that they are so much better looking than me. This is amazing. I love this. Yes, yes. You have all the money. I'll have none. Wonderful. This is what I've always wanted. Oh my God. You know. So here's what we're not admitting. The more we focus on each other, our nature is still at play. And we're like, oh, yeah, are you doing good? And we have these sadistic little moments that none of us want to talk about where a friend's really going through a tough time and you're like, well, now they understand. I bet they get it now. And you're like, whoa, man, we can be nasty if we're honest. So what's going to happen? Here's what I'd like to suggest. The more I keep focused down here and here, the more my posture usually is this. I'm like, oh yeah, no, I love Churchome. I love Churchome. I mean, it's not perfect, but I love it, and I love people. Nah, he's cool. Nah, she's cool. No, I'm happy for him. That's cool. No, I think it's great. That's cool, you know. I mean, people don't talk to me a lot, you know, and whatever, but nah, it's cool. That's my church, yeah. Yeah, it's cool. It's my friends. Yeah. And this, if we're honest, is normal. It's kind of normal. It's not normal to focus down here and go, I love you. My home is open to you. Our family, we love you. That's not normal. So here's what we're going to have to do. John is finishing his book like this. And look how he finishes it in verse 25. I just think this is one of the most gorgeous verses in all of the Bible. John stops for a moment and would like to just expand on the wonders, the miracles, the beauty, the moments Jesus cared for children, the moment he cared for women, the moment he cared for Jews and Gentiles alike. He says, if every one of the things Jesus did, small and great, eye contact, crying, holding, hugging, loving people throughout his day while on this planet. John just goes, I just don't think if books started to be written about, the world can't contain it. And he's speaking, of course, to the majesty, the wonder of Jesus. And I go, okay, John, God was guiding you to write this letter, this book, and I needed it to end like that. Because what I just saw Peter go through, I was like, there's not a lot of answers there. Jesus just says, what is it to you? He might live forever. Peter, please, you follow me. It's like, well, all right. Thanks for that. Yeah, quit looking at people and comparing and thinking about fair. Just focus on me. Don't, just stop it. Don't even be, you just, as if, oh, wow, that would be great. That'd be awesome. I'm just gonna celebrate everyone even though I'm in pain. And when I'm having a party and celebrate, but someone's in pain, I'm gonna cancel the party and I'm gonna be in their pain with them. So yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, that's normal. I do that all the time, or I don't. No one does. How am I supposed to do that? Here's what happens. If you stay here or you stay here, your posture, more than likely, is going to be more like this to humanity. It just is. It's just natural. Now, you're going to have those moments where the movie opens up your heart. Or you're at church and you're like, wow, the music. And you're like, you look around the room and you have this moment of bliss, like, I just love everyone in here, right? And then by the time you get back to your Uber and you're going through traffic, right? The glow wears off and you're like, what is wrong with, sir, could you honk the horn? This is ridiculous. Whoa, where did the Spirit of Jesus go? That's normal. That's normal. So here's what has to happen. Your eyes have to go from here to here to here. And what I've learned is when my eyes are here, my heart and arms go like this. That's the key. If you will just let yourself, let go of focusing on yourself, let go of trying to be the reincarnate Mother Teresa who's gonna save the whole world, and actually turn your attention to the one who will and has. And let the mystery and the majesty of who he is. I'm gonna read it again. This verse verse was written for artistic, creative people. And John's all heart. This is classic John. Luke is a doctor. Luke is like very linear and very detailed. John is like, and I am that man. Right, did you notice a moment ago when he says, and Peter turned to the disciple, and John wants to include, the story's already been told, he goes, he turned to the disciple, the one who laid on Jesus' chest and asked him, who will betray you? That was ages ago, John. John's like, I know, I just wanted to remember that I did that. That's who I am. And then later it says, the disciple whom Jesus loved. Like, John is just all heart, and John's like, as I end my letter, I want you to know that if every one of the things Jesus did was written, I don't think the world could contain the books. And we're kind of left with this, like, is he being literal? Is he being figurative? Is he being what? And I think what's supposed to happen is your brain is supposed to go, well, what else happened? You wouldn't believe it. I wonder if there's a part where Jesus finds a single mom who's broken and her baby's got nowhere to go, and Jesus made them some bread out of nothing. Had them moved into a home, and what else did he do? And your brain is supposed to go, oh, I don't know everything about God. Oh, that's right. His ways are higher than my ways. His thoughts are higher than my thoughts. Good. My definition of good, God is beyond good. We don't have adjectives. We don't have the vernacular. We don't have enough languages. We don't have enough. He's just his acts, if put all in the book for 33, the world can't. John's just like, if you think he's good, you are going to be so surprised he's gooder than good. He's beyond your wildest imagination. Think of the most wonderful, kind, loving, caring, sensitive, just, godly, perfect, soft-hearted, compassionate. Think of that person times 1,000,000,000, and Jesus is greater. And that's, you realize what we're talking about tonight?
Yeah.
I'm up here like this is the ultimate idealist. If you're a literalist right now, you're like, really, bro? You actually think we're all gonna put our pain away and celebrate with people and their success when I'm going through? Are you being for real? It's not my material. It's his. This is what he says we're supposed to be like. And so this is what I do in moments like these. Okay, I'll go, all right, God, are you being for real? By the way, he's not always just there, but it's just a good illustration. Some of you are like, God's not just up. These are the emails I get. You said heaven's up, but heaven is all around us. And I'm like, and you're right, and that's on me. Go Hawks. But the emails I used to read, and now I am focusing on my family. But this is what I do. I go, oh, okay, God. This is what I'm supposed to do. Right? If you're like me, I'm just trying to get through the pain. Okay, God? I just want to get through the pain. The book of Psalms is my favorite place right now. Okay, God? I'm with David, all right? I'm in a lot of pain. And you want me to go in your direction. That's right, son. I want you to come in my direction. What's your direction? Is loving people in a way that you set aside your literal, actual, emotional position and you engage with them with theirs and you serve them. Is that what you did? Yeah, that's what I did. So that's what I want you to do. So here's what I say to God. All right, then you got to change me. You got to change me because that's not normal for me. And that's where this book gets real. Here's a significant fallacy that still floats around, that this book can be lived, or that you can live like Jesus by trying harder. In fact, that's one of the worst things you can do. The best thing you can do is go something like this. Well, I can't do that. That's impossible. God goes, right? Yeah, it's impossible. I know. Yeah. Well, so where do we go from here? Well, you really need a God who could actually transform you, don't you? Yeah. And so Jesus says to Peter, use the energy you're using to look at John, use it to look at me. For oftentimes where the eyes go, the body follows. You want to go his direction, look at him. And suddenly, man, my life is not lived like this. My life is lived like, right? It's like this amalgamation of, right? I want to live like this, heart open, arms open to people, eyes on Jesus. That's the goal, isn't it? But I think we are supposed to exist as a community to be an antidote, to be a healing ointment in the streets of LA. What would it be if we had hundreds, thousands of us who lived pretty regularly like this? People look at us like, man, how do you do that? And when you find an Anne-Marie or you find an Elijah, you make them your best friends. And thank you for the whistle. That was rather odd, but that's great. And then you ask them, you learn from them. Hey, help me. How do you celebrate other people so well? That's the kind of people we want to be. Hey, God cares so much about your pain. I hope you're hearing me. We're not making light of your pain. I'm just showing you a path that was showed to me. His name is Jesus, and I think this is the path to life. This is the path to take our pain and turn it into something that we can use to serve other people. Jesus, I thank you for the moments we share. God, your words are are deep and they're wide and sometimes difficult. So we've come to the conclusion that without you, going your direction is completely impossible. But this is what we want. This is what I want. This is what we want for our community. We want to go your direction. I'm asking for all of us, every single person here, those who believe that Jesus is God, those who don't believe, no matter who. I'm praying right now for those watching on the app, for those watching in Seattle, for any one of us. I am praying that you would help us to not be so self-focused, not be looking around at others, comparing and thinking in terms of what's fair. But God, we would turn our attention to you. God, fill our minds with the wonder, the majesty, the magnitude of who you are. And may that just really dominate our attention. Just help us, God, more than you've ever helped us before. We need you. If you're here and you're watching, or you're here in this room and you say, Judah, I'd like to follow Jesus. I'd like to follow Jesus. I'd like to receive the free gift of forgiveness that only Jesus offers. On the count of 3, I'm going to ask you to lift up your hand and put it right back down. You know who you are. I ask you to raise your hand because I believe when you respond on the outside to what's on the inside, it just becomes more real to you. You know who you are. 1, 2, 3. If that's you, all over this room, in a cafe, watching on the app, in Seattle, at any location, just slip up your hand right now and you can put it right back down. God, you see these hands. You are incredible. Thank you. It's so free, Lord, to be forgiven. It's so free, and we just thank you. It's so free. You've made it free. You've paid the ultimate price. And we thank you that we're forgiven forever. All of our error, wrong, and sin forgiven forever in this one moment of receptivity and acceptance. And we thank you for that. In Jesus' name, in Jesus' name, in Jesus' name. Hey everybody, thank you so much for watching our YouTube channel. To be honest, it really means a lot. It's kind of overwhelming to consider that you take time out of your life to listen to us tell the story of Jesus. If you haven't already, you can subscribe right here to the channel and get more of God's incredible love for you and his story of grace. Again, I can't say it enough. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully we can do this again real soon.